we want to become better designers, we should start by expanding our catalog of ideas. We should know what's possible and how can we push architectural discourse forward. But I find this problem gets asked in a more common way, and it's what buildings inspire you? For me, I could always list off projects that I hold dear to my heart, but what I really enjoy telling people about are projects that break the notion that all buildings have to be these glass rectangular prisms. It's important to see the diversity in how we design and build our own environment. So follow along and see if you recognize these buildings, the architects, what makes them so special, and maybe by the end of it, you'll have a few precedents that will inspire you to design better. I always love showing people this building because it's the first time they discovered that architecture can have curves too. This building breaks the mold on what's possible and it introduces the idea that architecture can be sculptural as well. It's the Heydar Aliyev Center by Zaha Hadid. The center was designed to become the primary building for the nation's cultural programs. It breaks from the rigid and often monumental Soviet architecture that is so prevalent in Baku, aspiring instead to express the sensibilities of Azeri culture and optimism of a nation that looks to the future, as it says on its website. Now, I love showing people the architect's designs as well, because she certainly deserves the title, the Queen of Curves. So take, for example, the space-age looking Galaxy Soho, a curving bridge in Zaragoza, and the Guangzhou Opera House. Personally, I've never had a chance to visit any of her buildings, but I remember during my education that her precedents would be used everywhere. Every student who had the chance to work with curves would have Zaha's projects as precedents for their own designs. So it's easy to say that she inspired me and others in our education as well. For example, just check out the design of Wakanda City in Black Panther. You could recognize the curves, the structure, and how the design emulates her form. So if you're tired of office buildings and you need a break from the rigidity of dystopian Soviet architecture, this building's for you. Not all buildings have to stand out with curves. Sometimes changing the angle of the wall is enough to create unique and interesting spaces. This building leans on the idea of the oblique and curates spaces that rival even the exhibits that populate its own rooms. It's the Royal Ontario Museum by Daniel Libskind. Utilizing the oblique as a prominent architectural feature, it serves as an embodiment of the integration of history and modernity. Its unique visual identity symbolizes a dynamic connection between diverse cultures, fostering a sense of curiosity and exploration. Libskind presents the idea of the oblique in many of his other projects as well. So take, for example, the Holocaust Museum in Berlin, the folding walls of the 1836-54 residential home, and the One World Trade Center in New York. So I've had the opportunity to visit this museum. And for me, the thing that sticks out the most is realizing how these walls are able to create these unique spaces. You don't think that changing the angle causes that drastic of an effect, but truly does. The other thing, and something I would love to learn, is how are these things constructed? The techniques and practices used to construct this building must have been complicated, as each piece must have been custom and built without using products off the shelf. So if you're into crystals or you're tired of seeing walls always upright at 90 degrees, this building's for you. So I want to take a moment just as a gentle reminder that these buildings I'm presenting to you aren't just, the highlights of the architectural world. I think personally, each one demonstrates a concept or provides an insight into how we can design architecture in different ways. I'm not just going to show you all buildings that have unique forms, but what I want to present are a couple that just do things differently. And it's through exploration and their ability to trust the process of design and the vision to make sure that at the end of the day, these buildings are unique and express something about the architecture of modern day. So these next projects I'm going to show to you, each one does something slightly different than the first two. Maybe it's materials, maybe it's something about its function, and maybe it's something that doesn't prioritize the architectural aesthetic at all. So follow along and see if you can recognize the concept that the architect is trying to present. There's one building that's so unconventional that it inspires me every time I begin a project. From its facade to its interior, it is so clever and brilliant. It's too good. It's the Seed Pavilion by Heatherwick Studios. Through its design, it harmoniously blends art, innovation, and nature's wisdom, inviting visitors to explore the mysteries of life and evolution. The pavilion's form and purpose intertwine seamlessly, offering a unique space where the interplay of light, texture, and space mirrors the intricate dance of seeds on the journey from dormancy to flourishing existence. Heatherwick Studios, for me, is one of the most eccentric design studios out there. Like, check out some of their work. His gin distillery with a sculptural facade, a museum in South Africa, and like Little Island in New York. It's really hard to pinpoint what their architectural style truly is, but it's a reminder that through the exploration of design, experimentation, and maybe being inspired by nature around you, that you can come up with designs that are unique and interesting in themselves. Being brave in exploring any concept or theme can truly produce a project that's unique and interesting. So if you like Stranger Things and an architectural style that cannot be described, this project's for you. Old buildings can still teach us something. There are some that are just genius in the way they are designed and have become iconic and timeless in cities around the world. I love this building not for the aesthetic, but for the architect and his design philosophies that he incorporated into the design of this building. It's the Guggenheim Museum by Frank Lloyd Wright. The Guggenheim's iconic form features a central atrium that spirals upward in a gentle slope, creating a sense of movement and exploration for visitors. The museum's interior layout challenges traditional gallery spaces, offering a continuous exhibition experience where artworks are displayed along the ramped walls. The thing that stands out for me is his architectural style and how it compares to this museum. Falling Water with its integration of the falls, the horizontality of the Rothie House, and the S.C. Johnson Administration Building. I got to see this building, and when I was walking through the gallery and experiencing the descent of this spiral of form, it totally makes sense. Being able to design form from a function can also produce unique and interesting spaces as well. Sometimes we don't need to design for the aesthetic. Sometimes all we need to do is choose a function, and that will inform the form of the building. So for those who suddenly crave donaire or still appreciate what old buildings can teach us, this project is for you. If there's one building that showcased engineering before aesthetic, before function, and before architectural aesthetic, it would be this one. This building always teaches me that the structure of a building, the very bones of a building, can be worth a trip to experience it. It's the World Trade Center Transit Hub by Santiago Calatrava. Calatrava's architectural style can be summarized as engineering, artistic expression, and sculptural form, all integrated together. We can see this represented in projects like the Amarillo Bridge, the Milwaukee Art Museum, and the Turning Torso Tower. These projects always remind me that sometimes the structure can be worth showcasing. Innovation and exploration in how structural elements can come together can be an architectural experience in its own right. So, for those with an engineering background, or for those who enjoy figuring out how things come together, this project is for you. Each of these buildings are incredible precedents to always keep in mind when asking yourself what is possible in the realm of architecture. I always keep coming back to these buildings, not only to inspire me, but also to teach others that there is so much more to architecture than glass office buildings. So if you're an architectural student, a designer, or have a curiosity as to how we design cities, I hope you learned something today. And if you made it this far to the end of the video, I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching.